Do you need to be restored? Welcome to Seeking God with Leah Klein, Health and Wholeness Coach. And our verses for today are Joel 2:24 to 26. The threshing floor shall be full of grain, the vats shall overflow with wine and oil. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locusts have eaten, the hopper, the destroyer, the cutter, my great army which I sent among you. You shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you. And my people shall never again be put to shame. Have you been going through a time where it feels like everything's being stripped away, where all the things that you may have relied on have either fallen through or just disappeared? Uh, they at least weren't worthy of being relied on at the minimum. And why I can say that is that that is something that regularly happens to Christians, that God will take things away to prove to us and to Him that He is more important to us than all of those things. And sometimes we have to stop and take an analysis, see if there's something in our lives that is creating the situation because we're in disobedience, we're in unforgiveness, any of a number of things that can be disrupting your relationship with God and therefore then also disrupting um, what is, coming to you. But obviously, not all instances, fall into that. But you want to make sure do a little inventory, make sure there isn't anything you could be doing to contribute, to the situation. But ultimately, it's His will, one way or the other. It's His will. He is in the business of restoration, and that's what's being described here in these verses. He's talking about an abundance, agriculturally speaking, because that was an agricultural society. So they thought in terms of how many sheep they had, how much grain they had, and that was money, to them. That was success to them if they had what they needed in plenty, because they didn't always have it. I mean, there was times of famine uh, throughout the Old Testament. Actually, I think there was an instance in the New Testament. But anyway, it was the climate of the Middle East. It was not an unheard of phenomenon. Um, not really an unheard of phenomenon where I live either. Uh, Anywhere where it's dry, it can be drier if at all possible. And that is not a good thing. And so we do need to remember that God is in the business of growing us first and of restoration. Um, of course, an example of this where it was God's will and it wasn't about anything He had done would be Job. That is our prime example of no, it wasn't it isn't always caused by sin. It isn't always caused by something, but of course, there's a whole lot of other examples of when it was actually caused by sin in the Bible, so we can't ignore that also. Both can be true, but what does He do at the end of Job? He restores. He actually everything that He took away, with the exception, of the children, everything that He took away kind of monetarily was returned, doubled. And I've heard, don't remember which thing I was listening to talking about Job, but was talking about that actually, even though they weren't in this world, he technically still had children. So by giving him more children, it actually was doubling. They just weren't all in this world, but that's one argument. But he restored. And I've been reading Nehemiah, another example of God, Ezra and Nehemiah, of God restoring his people after captivity that was caused by disobedience. So that's kind of the other end of the spectrum as far as an example of that. But God he doesn't necessarily bring everyone back in that particular instance, but he does bring a remnant back. He brings his chosen back to him. And so if you're feeling like, kind of everything has been stripped away, that can be your prayer, is Joel 2:24-26. God, restore to me what the locusts have eaten. Bring back your provision. Bring back your sustaining grace. And obviously ask God for forgiveness if there's some areas that you may have actually, been in the wrong, and ask for that restoration. And if you're having trouble hearing God, let me show you why that might be happening and how to connect more deeply with Him with my free ebook, Seeking God. That's at healthturnaroundcoaching.com/seeking-God. And it's also, in the show notes on Substack and wherever else I may have posted this video. So, if you want some information on really connecting, really hearing from Him, that is a great place to get that information. Now, I wanted to wrap up our time with a song, Breathe on Me, Breath of God, and also appropriate coming off of Pentecost. But that we would ask Him to fill us up, because it's not just provision that we need. We need Him to fill us up and to satisfy us and to fill those things that we try to fill with other things. So if you know it, feel free to sing along. If you don't, feel free to just listen. Breathe on me, breath of God. Fill me with life anew, that I may love what thou dost love and do what thou wouldst do. Breathe on me, breath of God, until my heart is pure, until with thee I will, one will, to do and to endure. Breathe on me, breath of God, till I am wholly thine, until this earthly part of me glows with thy fire divine. Breathe on me, breath of God, so shall I never die, but live with thee the perfect life of thine eternity. And I will see you next week with another verse if you're on my Substack, or you will see a clip of my video and you can watch that if you're on Facebook or YouTube. See you there.